A great injustice is being committed by thousands, if not millions of people the world over, and nobody's talking about it. It's permeating all areas of culture: films, TV, hotels, holidays, music, and my beloved area of interest, football. This injustice? The shadowy cabal are trying, and now succeeding, to make 7 out of 10 the new 5 out of 10. Let me explain. The classic system for ratings in general, not just football ratings, is either 0 to 5 or 0 to 10. Outside of arenas where ratings are often given as stars, such as movies or hotels, where the notion of something being 5 star is familiar and marketable, I'd say the most prominent rating system these days is your classic 0 to 10, and that is certainly the most prominent rating system in football. There do exist other rating systems though, and of course there are those designed by people who simply cannot live with the idea that you can rate a player using whole numbers, and who instead must go to 1 or even 2 decimal points. Which, for what it's worth, has always seemed like overkill to me. I mean, it's essentially the equivalent of rating players out of 1,000. Who cares about the difference between 686 versus 687? If you seriously want to draw a line between a 686 performance and a 687 performance, then you really need to take a step away from watching football and go outside for a bit. And that's coming from a guy who uses his spare time to run a football YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way. But that system isn't what I'm here to be grumpy about today. Nor are other alternative systems, such as the crazy Danish system based on their school grades, in which a player can be marked as a 12, a 10, a 7, a 4, a 2, a 0, or a -3. Instead, I'm here to be grumpy about the corruption of the 0 to 10 system. The 0 to 10 player rating system works, or should I say, should work, in the following very basic way. 0 is for a player who's had a truly awful game, and 10 is for a player who's had a truly superb game. And crucially, a 5 is for a player who's had a bang average game. This is because, as you are no doubt aware, the difference between 0 to 5 is the same as the difference between 5 to 10, thus making 5 the middle of these two numbers, an average if you will. 5 is an average game. And yet, as you are also no doubt aware, we now have legions of football fans and reputable publications as well, who are, like some shadowy cabal, attempting to fundamentally change the rating system as we know it. The gradual erosion of the marker of an average from a 5 to a 7, doubtless encouraged by non-sports establishments doing the same thing, is nearing completion. There are a few brave holdouts bravely defending the very concept of an average game by sticking to 5 as an average, but sadly, more and more people and more publications are caving to the demands of this shadowy cabal. I must admit, I'm not entirely sure why this has happened. I thought perhaps the very idea of calling something or someone average has taken on a slightly negative tone in modern discourse, so maybe hiking average to a 7 out of 10 and not a 5 out of 10 is an attempt to fix this. Whatever the reason, this is bad. Not just for the obvious reason that it completely misunderstands what the average is between 0 and 10, though obviously this is clearly troubling, but it's also problematic because it gives very little space to differentiate between players having a good game, the numbers 8, 9 or 10, or far too much space to differentiate between players having a bad game, 0 to 6. Granting too much or too little space is problematic in itself, but it's the asymmetry here that is really problematic. Why do we get 7 numbers for describing how bad a player is, but only 3 for describing how good he is? That just doesn't make any sense. Additionally, it's not just objectively wrong, it's actively confusing for readers of these ratings. When people abandon the 5 as an average system, as The Guardian seems to do here, along with the earlier publications I showed you, it means one of two things. In this specific case, it would mean that either A, every player in that awful Europa League final between Spurs and Man United played above average. No offense Spurs fans, I'm happy for you, but that was an awful game. Except for Mount and Højlund, who still didn't play below average. Or that B, on a scale of 0 to 10, we should think a number other than 5, which, to remind you, is a number that is literally mathematically the average between 0 and 10 is average. And in the specific case of The Guardian here, it looks like they're joining the rest of the shadowy cabal by pushing the number 7 as the new average. Obviously, neither A nor B make any sense at all, and both options are not only wrong, but also confusing for readers. I mean, if you hadn't seen that awful Europa League game, and instead you'd opened up the newspaper and read The Guardian's player ratings, you would think that both these sides played pretty well, and it was a pretty exciting game full of 6s and 7s, the occasional 8. And that is certainly pretty misleading. The trouble is, the more people who use 7 as the marker for an average performance, the more this phenomenon snowballs, and the more it becomes widely accepted that a 6, or God forbid a 5, is a poor performance. This is having such an effect that when a publication does use 5 as an average performance, as L'Equipe does, they are talked about as strict or famously tough, as opposed to just people using a normal sodding system. This is all very irritating because it makes rating players, and indeed rating anything where 7 is your average, all very incoherent and frustrating. But to be clear, it's not like rating a player out of 10 with 5 as an average is a perfect system. There are faults with this too, like our natural proclivity to just reward whichever team wins with top marks, even if the performances were mixed, or difficult questions of whether you're rating a player's performance objectively or whether you're taking into account it is this player. Compare a Mo Salah 5 out of 10 to a League 2 winger's 5 out of 10. Are they the same level of performance, or is a Mo Salah 5 out of 10 closer to a League 2 8 or 9 out of 10? These are tricky questions that even a system that did use 5 as an average would have to answer. So it's not like I want to die on this hill that 5 is the average. I don't love that system, but my God will I defend it against the shadowy cabal of forces attempting to push 7 as the new average. Anyway, what do you guys think about all this? Have I completely lost my mind, or is this actually frustrating to anyone else out there? If it does frustrate you, please do let me know in the comments. I need some solidarity here. Or if you think you've worked out why this is happening in the first place, please let me know. If you like the video, please do leave a like. And if you like the vibe of this channel, then why not join the other 17 subscribers and subscribe? I'm very grateful for all my subscribers, and it's very rewarding to have even a small group of people looking out for my videos. So thanks to you guys. Here's some other videos to watch next. Thanks for watching.